Now then, let us begin plainly. Nearly every note that reaches my desk carries the same line written in different handwriting. Why isn't it working yet? And I must tell you at once, that is not a question to be answered with words. It is a symptom to be read. It is the very evidence that you have stepped out of the stillness that heals and back into the personal direction that cannot. The instant you ask, "Is it working?" you have already moved. You have left your post. Be still and know I am God. Do not use that as a phrase. Hear it as a command. Be still, because the moment you look to the body to report, you have bid the body to govern you. The moment you look to the mood to lift, or the calendar to cooperate, or the symptom to bend, you have returned to steering, to your private timetable, to your private sword. Put it up. Put up thy sword. Each check is a cut across the surface of silence. You call it responsibility. I call it aggression. Be still and know I am God. You tell me, the healing is delayed. No, often it is not delay. It is interruption. On and off, on and off. Like a lamp flickering because the hand keeps touching the switch to see if the light is coming. You turn to stillness for 30 seconds and then turn away to examine results. You enter receptivity and then immediately interrogate it. And then you report, "It is not working." It is not that God is late. It is that you will not stay home long enough for the mail to arrive. Impatience is not a mere feeling. It is a form of attack on the moment. How long? Do you hear the subtle fist in that? How long is the calendar lifted against the presence, a clock waved at the infinite? You think you are being diligent, you are being insistent. You think you are being faithful, you are issuing demands. And so the stillness breaks, the government goes unseated. The personal regent runs back in and sits on the throne for another hour. This is not for casual listeners. I must ask you not to proceed with me unless you are willing to be governed from within. Not governed by fear, not governed by appearances, not governed by dates and outcomes, but by that inner authority which needs no witness and yet bears witness everywhere. If you are here to collect statements and try them like spices in a soup, you will sour the pot. If you are here to allow the I to establish its order, then you must accept this discipline. Do not check. Return. Do not demand. Return. Do not time. Return. And in that return, be still and know, I am God. I am not answering your complaint. I am diagnosing your movement. If you are checking whether it is working, you have left the only place from which it can work. So for now, your whole task is singular and severe. Replace every glance toward result with the same inward, wordless yielding. When you are tempted to look away within. Be still and know I am God. And remain. Now then, for the purpose of this work, please hear me. You must assume there are two of you. I do not mean two different beings. I mean 2 points of identity you have been entertaining without knowing it. There is you with a name, Mary, John, Joel, with a history and a schedule and a plan for improvement. And there is I, your real self, that is life, that is law, that is the only government that ever heals. For this practice, you must sit consciously as the one who beholds, while the I that I am, is the activity of grace where a person appears. If you do not make this distinction, you will keep trying to make God into your helper in a personal program. You cannot. Put up thy sword. Impatience belongs only to the named self. It must compare. It must count. It must secure an outcome by watching it. It wakes in the morning with a tape measure in its hand. How far now? How much better? How long? That one cannot heal. That one can only agitate. The one who heals is not a one among other ones. The one who heals is I. Quiet, unhurried, already whole, not looking out to a condition to be fixed, but resting in its own fullness. Be still and know I am God. You ask, then what is my part? Your part is the holy humility of the beholder. You are to witness, without steering, that I is the life of your body, the life of your affairs, the law unto all form, the government of all being. Do not assign deadlines to God. Do not instruct omniscience as to pace. Each time the mind whispers, "How long?" you have a choice point. Yes, a moment in which you either deny the sufficiency of I and enthrone the little manager again, or you return and let I be I. Choose rightly. Return and be still. Hear it as if from above your head, addressing your mind. Be still. And to the heart's tremor, be still. And to the calendar you have held up like a shield, be still and know I am God. The named self will not like this. It will try to negotiate, to make vows, to promise more stillness in exchange for quicker results. No, we do not bargain. We consent. The healing is not the personal self fixing the personal self. It is I functioning as life where a person appears. It is not me getting better. It is I being what I am and the appearance yielding. I must ask you to practice this distinction throughout the day. When the hurry rises, do not fight it, identify it. This is the one who hurries. Then step back into I. I, the I that I am here. I am the doer. And rest as beholder. In that resting, impatience finds no partner, and without a partner, it cannot dance. Be still and know I am God. Now then, let us look directly at the word that keeps sneaking into your practice in a white robe. How long? It does not shout, it whispers. It does not slam doors, it straightens the hymn book and tightens the schedule. And yet I must tell you, how long is not a harmless inquiry. It is the calendar lifted like a scepter against the throne of stillness. The very moment you ask it, time becomes your idol, and you kneel to it. You place authority in hours and days, and you bid the infinite explain itself to a clock. Be still and know I am God. Impatience rarely looks like rage here. Oh no, it often looks like devotion. It looks like extra reading, extra treatments, extra affirmations, extra calls. Each one a tiny push, a polite nudge, as if grace needed your elbow. I'm only being earnest, you say. No. Much of that earnestness is a demand with a halo around it. It is the sword concealed in spiritual clothing. Insisting on a timeline, 2 days, 3 weeks, surely by the end of the month, is pressure laid upon the body and upon God. Put up thy sword. Be still and know I am God. Do you see how the bargaining begins? I will do stillness. You will give me relief by Friday. I will sit twice a day. You will improve this lab result. And the instant the bargain is struck, the stillness is broken. The room is filled with accountants counting minutes and comparing charts. That is not surrender. That is contract. And the I does not sign contracts. The I is. Be still and know I am God. Not, be still so that. Not, be still until. Be still, period. Now then, let us separate discipline from monitoring. Discipline returns you to stillness, again and again, without glancing sideways at appearances for a receipt. Discipline says, "Here I am," and abides. Monitoring is the personal manager walking in every few minutes to check the workers and rattle the tools. Discipline deepens receptivity. Monitoring parts the soil to see if the seed has sprouted, and thereby kills the root. One enthrones the I as government. The other keeps the symptom in office by watching it. Be still. Withdraw the vote you have been giving to appearances by staring at them for change. At first you may not enjoy this. You may feel, listen carefully, you may feel irresponsible for not checking, negligent for not arranging outcomes. You will mistake quiet faith for laziness because the little ruler has measured its worth by its constant fussing. Let it cry. That discomfort is the named self losing its throne. Do not argue with it. Identify it and let it pass. This is the one who hurries. Then step back. I, the I that I am here, and put up thy sword. Be still and know I am God. When how long rises, refuse its jurisdiction. Time has no authority in the kingdom of I. Government is established in stillness, and in that government claims dissolve, not because we pressed, not because we watched, but because we would not grant power to ours, to symptoms, or to our own impatience. Return. Return before you check. Return before you measure. Return, and let I be I. Now then, let us be exact. The stillness of which I speak is not a mood, not a pleasant quiet, not a sedative for nerves. It is government. It is the enthronement of I as the only law, the only actor, the only will. When I say, be still and know I am God, I am not prescribing a feeling. I am directing you to the seat of government, where I is permitted to be the doer, and where the named self, your manager, your monitor, your worrier, takes its rightful role as beholder and nothing more. Be still and know I am God. You have thought, if I could only feel peaceful, the healing would come. No. Many have felt peaceful and still remained under the authority of the condition, because in their quiet, they continued to look outward for a report. Peace that looks to the body to verify itself is not stillness. It is a pause before another inspection. True stillness removes the court from the jurisdiction of appearances and restores it to the I. In that court, the claim is not argued down. It is found to have no standing. The healing, as you call it, is the action of that government revealing itself. You do not perform it. It appears because the only actor has resumed office. Be still and know I am God. Here's the mechanism by which you leave. You sit, you consent. There is a settling, and then a thought like a small bird lands on the sill. Perhaps the pain has shifted. Perhaps the number is better. In that instant, you have stood up from your post and gone out into the hallway to search for witnesses. In that instant, you have asked the symptom to testify. You have returned it to the bench, and you have abdicated the I's government. Do you see? Each glance outward to confirm is a recall election of the old regime. Put up thy sword. Return to stillness. Be still and know I am God. We are not working to produce results. We are yielding a field to rightful rule. Stillness trains the mind and body to cease issuing orders, to stop giving opinions about rate and route, to stop demanding hourly briefings. It makes of you a transparency through which life, unhurrying, unthreatened, functions as itself. At first, the nerves will twitch and the breath will argue. At first, the chest will want to clutch and the eyes will want to peek. Let them be named, and let them be silenced by the command that is not yours, but is yours to voice. Be still. Not as a charm, as obedience to government. And so, when impatience arises, do not call it failure. Call it the bell on the door that tells you have stepped outside. Do not run farther out. Do not push. Do not bargain. Turn on your heel and re-enter. Be still and know I am God. Again and again and again. The practice is not to stretch the stillness into hours of sweetness. The practice is to reinstate government in the very split second you feel the itch to check. If you will do this, not for a week, not for 2 visits to a chair, but as a manner of life, you will find that demonstrations do not come from your pushing. They come because the throne was never empty, and you ceased pretending to occupy it. Be still and know I am God. Now then, let us take the discipline itself, and I must ask you to take it slowly, without hurry, without bargaining. Sit, and for the purpose of this practice, assume the rightful position. I, your real self, am here, and I look gently down through what appears as your head. Not with strain, not with a furrowed brow, simply as if I were seated just above the crown, beholding. And softly, without force, address the mind, the skull, the eyes, and the small restlessness behind the eyes. Be still. Be still, and know I am God. You are not talking the body into quiet. You are removing its habit of reporting. If, as you say this, a little thought arrives, has the pressure shifted? Label it without comment. Impatience. Put up thy sword. Return. Be still, and know I am God. Now let the gaze descend to the throat, tongue, jaw, the place where words queue up to control outcomes. Be still. Be still and know I am God. No pushing, no trying to make a sensation occur. We are not manufacturing quiet. We are yielding to government. Down across the shoulders where burdens like to settle. Through both arms, elbows, wrists, and hands, those faithful workers that reach to fix and to test. Be still. Hands, you do not report. You receive. Be still and know I am God. Let the attention flow into the chest, the heart's beat, the lungs' rhythm, the place where fear nods as if it were wisdom. Slowly, slowly, as if you had all eternity, because you do. Be still. Be still and know I am God. Into the diaphragm and abdomen where urgency collects. Hunger for results, knotting and unknotting. Be still. There is no contract here, no until Friday. Be still and know I am God. Now the spine, neck to sacrum, each rung of the ladder where personal will has tried to climb into heaven. Be still. Not a collapsed stillness, an enthroned stillness. Hips and pelvis, places of drive and defense. Be still and know I am God. Down into the thighs, knees that want to run ahead or kneel to time. Be still. Calves, ankles, feet, and all the toes, those scouts that itch to check the border of sensation. Be still. Be still and know I am God. At any point, and it will happen, the impulse will rise to peek at the symptom, to measure progress, to speed the cadence. Do not argue with it. Name it. This is the one who hurries. And then, as a parent placing a gentle hand on a child's shoulder, return the command without condemnation. Be still and know I am God. If you find you are hurrying to finish the meditation so that you may go test the results, that is the red flag. Stop there, even mid-body, and slow the entire practice by half. We refuse the bargain. We do not hurry to get. We abide to yield. Several times each day, 2 to 5 minutes only. Close your eyes wherever you are and re-enter this descent. Not to improve the hour, not to influence a report, to reseat government. Return before you check. Return before you speak. Return and let the body learn its new role. Not a reporter, not a demander, a servant, receptive to the eye's governance. Be still and know, I am God. Now then, let us face why appearances seem to win. We are flooded with claims, pain that argues its case, conditions that present charts and numbers, relapses that shout, "See, nothing has changed," discouragement that whispers, "Give up." These are claims, mere appearances, and they plead for authority by seducing your attention and stirring your fear. The instant you turn to watch them for change, you have seated them on the bench and asked them to rule. That is why they seem to win. You have given them the gavel. Be still and know, I am God. Symptom surveillance is the trap. You check the body like a night watchman making rounds. Is it less? Is it more? Did it move? Each circuit is not neutral. It is a vote cast for form and effect. The very act of looking to an appearance to tell you what is so is the act of granting it power. And you say, "But I am only being diligent." No, you are recruiting the symptom into office as your informant and your governor. Withdraw that election. Be still and know, I am God. Hear the principle and do not blur it. There is no power in form or effect. All power is in the I that I am. Therefore, a claim has no law to sustain it except the law you lend by fear, by fascination, by watching for its report. Unentertained, it has no statute, no court, no witness, and it dissolves into its native nothingness. Not because you fought it down, but because in the presence of I, it is seen to be without authority. Put up thy sword. We are not here to strike at a condition. We are here to stand in I. This is non-aggression. Do not argue with the condition. Do not rebuke it. Do not talk to it, threaten it, or bribe it with vows. All of that assumes it has agency and must be negotiated with. No. Let it be uncovered as nothingness by the simple restoration of government. Where I is acknowledged as the only doer, appearances cannot legislate. Be still and know, I am God. I hear your fear. If I do not watch it, if I do not check, Am I not neglecting myself? No. Stillness is not neglect. It is the highest form of care. It is you returning the case to the only court that can render a true verdict. Monitoring massages fear. Stillness restores government. Monitoring fatigues the nerves and keeps the symptom in authority. Stillness removes the chair from under it. And yes, at first, the personal manager will call this irresponsibility. Let it shout. Identify it. This is the one who hurries. Step back into I. I, the I that I am here. Be still and know I am God. So when the itch to look rises, you have your assignment. Do not peer. Do not prod. Return. Withdraw the gaze that empowers the claim and give your whole consent to the presence and power of I. In that consent, without spectacle, without drama, you will find that what seemed to win had only been winning your attention. Deprived of that attention, in the light of rightful government, it has no place to stand. Be still and know, I am God. Now then, I must say this plainly and without softening it for comfort. It will take you not less than 3 to 4 months to establish this as consciousness. Not less. Do not argue with me on this point. The habit of impatience is not a thin idea. It is a deeply grooved practice in the nerves, in the breath, in the very posture of the body. It will take months for the little manager to stop sending hourly reports and for the body to cease demanding instructions. During that period, you are not trying a method. You are consenting to a change of government. Be still and know I am God. There is a difference, do not miss it, between knowing the letter of truth and being the consciousness of truth. Many can repeat, there is no power in form or effect. Many can say, be still and know I am God, and even lead others in saying it. That does not heal. The letter is only a map, and maps do not transport you. Only when, through daily practice, the truth you know becomes a constituted part of your consciousness, so that in the presence of a claim you do not reach for words, but find yourself already in I, only then does the government act without your tugging. This takes time, not because God is slow, but because you must be trained out of looking to appearances for authority. Put up thy sword. Do you see now why so many conclude, it isn't working? They sit for 3 days, they feel a little quiet, and then they run to the symptom to ask for a certificate. They stop and start. They give stillness 5 minutes and the clock 5 hours. They collect techniques, this affirmation, that breathing, a different chair, and then demand proof before consciousness is built. They are like a farmer who plows an inch and cries, "Where is the harvest?" and then plows again in a new field on Tuesday. The lamp flickers because the hand will not leave the switch alone. Be still and know I am God. Let me reframe time for you. We are not waiting for God. We are being emptied of the personal will that blocks the evidence of God's presence. These months are not delay. They are maturation. Your insistence is being dissolved. Your bargaining is being exposed. Your nervous checking is being unlearned. Each day of faithful return is not another ticket in a divine lottery. It is one more board removed from the barricade you built against your own good. Be still. These months are the season in which the throne is cleared, and I is seated openly. Now, your expectations must be honest. At first, there may be no visible change. The numbers may not blink. The sensation may not hurry to obey you. Good. This is the test of your sincerity. The earliest evidence may be inner peace where fear shouted yesterday, a softening of the urge to check, a gentler breath, a lessening of the compulsive planning. Do not call these small. These are the opening of government. These are the first laws going into effect. The case is already moving to the only court that can render a verdict. Do not rush out of the courtroom to poll the witnesses. Remain. Be still and know, I am God. For a period of 3 to 4 months, set yourself to this discipline with seriousness. Never less than a good daily period devoted to stillness. Divide it if you must, but never treat it as a charm to get something. And several times through the day, return for a few minutes, not to test, to enthrone. Do not pass this on. Do not announce it. Live it. If you will accept this, if you will give these months without bargaining, you will find that what you called delay was only your demand for demonstrations before you had become stillness itself. When stillness is established as consciousness, the action of government appears of itself, and you will not be able to say, I made it happen, only, I stood aside, I was still, and I knew, I am God. Now then, there is a moment in this discipline, and it is the moment for which we have been preparing these months, when the direction reverses. You begin by addressing the body, the mind, the nerves. Be still, and know I am God. And you persist faithfully, not bargaining, not checking. And one day, often when you are not looking for it, you will find that the voice you have been voicing is no longer yours. Instead of you addressing, you will hear yourself being addressed. Not imagination, not self-talk, not a phrase you send upward. It comes as if from within and yet from beyond. Quiet and authoritative, and it says what it has always said. I am here. I am your life. Be still and know I am God. You will find it come as assurance, and you must recognize the difference. I will never leave you nor forsake you, not recited because you remember a verse, but spoken to you in the inner chamber where you did not arrange it. I am with you unto the end of the world, not as a banner you wave to chase fear away, but as a presence that simply arrives, that sits with you, that unseats the urgency without an argument. And at that word, the little manager has no case to plead. Impatience loses its attorney. The need to check ebbs, not because you forced yourself to stop looking, but because you have no interest in polling witnesses when the judge has taken his seat. Be still and know I am God. This is the turn. Life is felt to be functioning, and you cannot say why you know it, but you do. Not euphoria, not a flood of warmth necessarily, though sometimes there is a sweetness. Even without a single sensation, there is a quiet certainty, like a law, like gravity. And you find that the old question, how long, cannot form on your tongue. It does not belong in this atmosphere. The companionship answers time before time can ask. Be still. Be still and know I am God. Now, this also changes your work for others. You do not then send power. Do not ever try. Put up thy sword. You are not to project thoughts, nor to argue down a condition at a distance, nor to hold a mental picture over anyone. No. You take the same seat. You are beholder. You rest in non-aggression, and you let I be the doer. And when that inner assurance speaks, it is not to the person out there. It is the same I announcing itself where a person appears. You witness the government act. you do not act. The very attempt to act would re-enthrone the personal self and break the stillness. Be still and know I am God. I must say to you, do not confuse this with emotionalism. Do not hunt for sensations as a barometer, and do not mistrust the practice because there is nothing to feel on a given morning. Sensations are effects. They are not measures of truth. Sometimes the deepest work comes clothed as dryness. Remain. The assurance is not proved by tingles. It is proved by the falling away of the need to strive. And even if no phrase forms, even if there is only a vast quiet, that quiet is government. That quiet is I in office. When this turn comes, and it will in the faithful, guard it. Keep it secret. Do not parade it. Do not quote it as a charm, for then you have left it. Let it address you as it will, where it will. And each time anxiety reaches for your sleeve, do not swat at it. Let the inner word answer it before you do. I am here. I am the life of you. Be still and know I am God. In that companionship, striving has no oxygen. Impatience cannot breathe. And you will find that healing appears of itself, because the doer is I, and you have remembered your holy office, the beholder. Now then, I must lay down the safeguards, and I must do it plainly. Do not undertake this work while secretly using God for a purpose. If you go into stillness to get relief, get a result, get a sign, you have already left it. You have turned the holy into a tool, and the instant you do, personal will takes the chair and the government of I is set aside. Be still and know I am God is not a tactic. It is surrender. If, as you sit, a quiet bargain is written in the heart, I will be still so that you have broken the stillness before the first breath has settled. Put up thy sword. Understand, put up thy sword in this context. Any attempt to force an outcome, especially to prove a point, to satisfy the fear of being wrong, or to parade a demonstration, is aggression, even if you call it prayer. The voice that quotes truth at a body to make it behave, the mind that projects a picture over another to improve them, the heart that clenches and orders, now, now. All of this is sword. It is resistance dressed in religious clothing. Put it away. Non-aggression is not passivity. It is the recognition that in the presence of I, there is no other power to oppose. Be still and know I am God. I must ask you not to pass this on until you yourself have completely mastered this practice. Do not make a leaflet of it. Do not give it to a neighbor because you felt good for 2 days. Methods in the wrong hands turn into mental manipulation. The tender art of beholding becomes the crude hammer of suggestion. Better that you kept silence than that you stir up willpower and call it spirit. If this got into the wrong hands, it would be better that it never had been spoken. Keep the purpose of it secret. Practice in the closet of your own consciousness. All worship is wrong when done in public, not because the words are wrong, but because the personal self takes the stage and asks for proof and applause. That is poison to this work. These boundaries are compassion. They protect you from the inevitable disappointment that comes when a bargain does not pay out on your timetable. And they protect others from being subjected to your personal will posing as care. Do not lay your plans upon another's life and call it help. Until non-aggression is established in you, until you are content to be beholder and let I be the doer, do not take on healing work for others. Do not rush to demonstrate. Let the throne be openly seated within. Now, Your rule is this: you will not use stillness to obtain. You will enter only to surrender. Return before you ask. Return before you speak. Return, and let the motive be washed. Be still and know, I am God. When presence addresses you, there is no thought of getting, only companionship. And if healing appears, you will know you did nothing. You stood aside. Guard this. Keep it hidden like a flame sheltered from wind. Put up thy sword. Be still and know, I am God. Now then, we must make this practical, and I will give you a rule of life so clear that you cannot mistake it. Each day, set aside a longer period for stillness, according to your present capacity. 30 minutes, 45, an hour if you can bear it, broken into 2 sittings if need be. But one good period in which you are not trying anything, not bargaining, not checking, only restoring government. Then, through the day, several brief returns, 2 to 5 minutes, at the very moment the urge to measure rises. Not later, not after you finish the paragraph, not after one more glance at the number. Right then. The impulse itself is your bell. When the mind says, "Is it better?" your reply is not analysis. Your reply is the return. Be still. Be still and know, I am God. Let this be your new reflex. The old reflex is to reach. Reach for a device, a mirror, a test, a question, a second opinion. Put up thy sword. The new reflex is to re-enter government on the spot. You feel the itch to look, you close the eyes. You feel the sentence, "How long?" forming. You answer with no sentence of your own, only the ancient one. Be still and know I am God. You will find that 2 minutes given here, 3 minutes given there, right at the pressure point, change the entire atmosphere of the day more than one grand, hurried session done to win a report. And when there appears to be a setback, do not dramatize. Treat it as you have been taught. A claim asking for your attention so it may borrow your power. Refuse the loan. Do not reset the clock with despair. There is no clock in the eye. Be still. Return before you tell yourself a story about why it is worse. Before you call 3 people to confirm your fear. Before you schedule your day around appeasing it. We do not argue with claims. We do not rebuke them. We do not dress them up as lessons. We let them dissolve in the light of government by not feeding them with looking. Be still and know, I am God. I would have you keep a private record and keep it secret. Not a log of symptoms, no. A quiet noticing of government being restored. Was there more peace today where yesterday there was fret? Was the compulsion to check weaker? Did the breath soften when "how long" tried to rise? Was there less aggression in your prayer, more willingness to be beholder? These are not small. These are signs that the throne is clearing. Note them, not for pride, not to publish, but to steady your courage. When the peace of God descends, you will not need to ask anyone. You will know. Now, make this your practice until it is your nature. Returning before you check. Returning before you speak. Before you answer a message, return. Before you read a report, return. Before you explain yourself to yourself, return. Be still and know I am God. The paradox will prove itself in your experience. The quickest way is the way without hurry. As you cease demanding that time yield proof, time ceases to torment you. When you stop asking appearances to certify reality, appearances lose their authority to accuse. And in that quiet, the action of government is felt and seen. Not because you pressed it into being, but because you consented to be still and to know, I am God.